So I'm really delighted to see on a weekday at 5 o'clock such a wonderful turnout. So thank you all for coming. I have no illusions about myself. So clearly the draw is Atul and his magnificent work. I saw this show a few days ago and then spoke to Atul about it when this conversation, the discussion came up. And I must tell you that it's special for me at many levels, but one of those is that being also a movie buff. Movie buff means the kind who stays till the last of the black titles fades away. That kind of movie buff. And a fan of old Hindi cinema. I was delighted when they asked me to come and conduct this discussion. But then I found out after talking to Atul and just discussing it before doing this, that I was simply nobody compared to this master because he can rattle off a lot of things that nobody knows. Now, I'm happy to see that this audience does not need any introduction to Radio Ceylon. It'll be foolish for me to try and explain, but I see some younger people who might wonder what is this Radio Ceylon thing. So, though their parents must have told them about it. So, just to give a little background, in the late 1940s, early 50s, All India Radio had an information and broadcasting minister, Dr. Keskar. He banned Hindi film music and English music on All India Radio. He said this is not music that the people of a newly independent country should listen to. They should listen to classical music. So morning to evening, 24/7, only classical music played. In this, there was a gap obviously because Hindi films were being made and producers were anxious that their songs be heard. So in this gap stepped Radio Ceylon, which had a transmitter left behind by the Americans, which had shortwave. All India Radio was on medium wave, and they had shortwave. So they started producing these shows full of Hindi film music and Western pop music. So a lot of people here heard the Beatles for the first time from there, and a lot of people here heard Mohammed Rafi's voice for the first time from there. So they swept India, and Radio Ceylon was born. Among the voices it produced was Sunil Dutt, Gopal Sharma, and of course Amin Sayani and Hamid Sayani. So this is the genesis. Now clearly, Atul, which brings me to my first question, clearly you were among those who was swept away by Radio Ceylon. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, you see, the Radio Ceylon was, the radio was the only thing. I mean, in 72 we got Mumbai Doordarshan, but before that it was always radio, and we used to listen to old Hindi film songs, and of course cricket commentary. And we were told that if you want to learn your English, you want to improve your English, you have to listen to this cricket commentary, or BBC News, or Radio Ceylon News also. But that we never had any attention to that. But essentially it was the film songs which were always there. And then on Wednesdays, in 70s, night 9 to 10, I think, Binaka Gitmala. Yeah, 8 to 9.
There are people here to correct us.
Okay. Sure. So Binaka Geet Mala was there, which with Avin Sayani, and and the which song is going to be on the Pehli Paidan Pe Kaun Sa Gana, all that is in his beautiful voice. He would present the program. So that is one thing. But more than that, the Hindi film song was always there, and I always used to listen to these songs. And then later, when Doordarshan started, so on Thursdays there was a program called Chaya Geet, which was like first time we saw the video. I mean the song actual, on television. So that was there. But what happened that during the pandemic in 1920,
2020.
sorry, 2020.
Let's not show our age.
I know. Yeah, right, exactly. 2020. And so was not able to go to studio, and I was at home. But of course, I remember going to Rhythm House, you see, and Jahangir Art Gallery, Kala Ghoda area, and the Rhythm House is something which was such a place, we would always go, and we used to buy audio cassettes in those days, and then the CD came. So the old film song was my mother was a big film buff, you said film buff. So she was a great film buff, and they would discuss my maternal uncle and my father. My father would talk mostly about Pankaj Malik and K.L. Saigal and Timir Baran and all that, K.C. Day. But my mother was a great fan of the three great Dilip Kumar, Devanand and Raj Kapoor. So that era, and so music would be all the time, would be there, and we would be listening. And I remember whenever I was painting, well, the classical in music was also parallel, because you see, I was born and brought up in a chawl, and we had some about 16 family living in a ground level, as we call it, Baithi Chal in Ghatkopar, where my 7 family were Maharashtrian, and they were also from Brahmin from Pune. So with them, I got to introduced the classical singers. So some of the very private sessions happened with people like Prabha Atre, Kishori Amonkar, and even Bhimsen Joshi. So that I would go, and so, but there was a huge this dilemma. Well, we'll talk, but this is the background, about classical and film songs, etc. But
So you were a radio Ceylon buff, and I presume your mother would have been too.
yes, absolutely.
So, today with so many kinds of music coming at us, indie, filmy, non-filmy, English, Hindi of course, but everything. And in fact, if you have noticed for the last few years, the Hindi film song as shown in films where the lead actor and the actress or a cabaret star or somebody actually sings with a soundtrack, with a playback in a particular scene, that has disappeared. If you have seen the films that are on OTT platforms, you will notice that the Hindi film song per se now does not exist, or the Hindi film song of that time. You rarely see. You'll see a song thrown into all kinds of films where it doesn't fit. But otherwise, people have started watching films which have no songs. So this is really going to be, in my opinion, a kind of a fading, slowly fading art form. Because the Hindi film song, according to me, is something that is particularly Indian. So this is something to treasure. So how did they, you've given us the background of your own interest, and these were the soundtracks of our lives growing up. Even those who are not into Hindi film music will say, ah, I know this song. What's the genesis of this particular show?
Two things. One is, of course, uh, the art of painting, the art of portrait painting. So that is one aspect. And second, the content or the subject, which is about the popular Hindi film songs of golden era, which is from 40, 45 onwards till 65. That's why you don't have, you have Sardar Malik, but you don't have Anu Malik here. So, so that era, you know, and I kind of chose lyricist, music director, and singers from that time. And as we know that earlier, the actors themselves used to sing, K.L. Saigal and Pankaj Malik, and they were all also acting in the film and singing. But later, the playback singing came and become very popular with some of the finest singers which came later. But for me, it was it's very difficult to define whether it's the composers, or is it a great role of a lyricist, or is it a singer? Who was the, had a major role? You can't just say that music director. No doubt. Whether it's a Naushad or Sajjad Hussain or S.D. Burman, Salil Chaudhary and Anil Biswas, and they're all amazing composers. But at the same time, the kind of songs were written. First of all, we know very well that it's composed for a specific situation in the film. Often it's a basic situation like either it's a sad song or it's a kind of a joyful song, but basically it's about boy meets girl, girl meets boy, boy loses girl, that kind of a story. And often melodrama, too much of what you call, not something which we would say something very serious kind of content-wise, but you feel that, okay, it's just a love story or the love songs kind of theme. But within that, in that 3 minute or 3.5 minutes time, the way it was written in that specific, according to the need of that situation, and sometimes even there will be a, like I was listening to, unfortunately it's a rare interview of 5-6 minutes of Jai Kishan, of Shankar Jai Kishan, and Jai Kishan talks about that how like Naushad would say that give me a song and I will compose. But time came when Shankar Jai Kishan and others, they prepared a tune or a theme, and they would hum the whatever tune to a songwriter, and songwriter on that would write a song, on wordings will be put. So when Jai Kishan was asked that is it, because Naushad said it's like kind of to first dig a grave and then find a
body.
And put, or so I will never do that kind of thing. But Jai Kishan said, why it was important, because songwriter, the poets, they were always had a very fixed notion about words and style of writing. So if they are suddenly given something totally different tune, and now write on it. So some new approach was coming, and I think they adapted the whole thing quickly. So that's how I think some of the things. Anyway, all this thing I learned much later.
No, but was this always in your mind to create this 123 paintings, portraits of people? Where did it begin? How did it begin? What came? I mean, did you say one day, this is something that I want to do? Or were you just doodling with ideas and trying out ideas and
No,
evolved?
no, this was not an idea. I mean, what happened that during the pandemic, when I was listening, I rediscovered Radio Ceylon, and I realized that, oh, it's still available. I mean, of course, between 6 to 8 in the morning, but same link they would put on YouTube every day. So there were 4 divisions within that 2 hours, bhajan and film sangeet, and ultimately end with 30 minutes for Purane Filmon ke Geet. And it ends with K.L. Saigal song every time.
The last 5 minutes.
The last 5 minutes is devoted to K.L. Saigal. So that I was listening, and I realized that so many songs which I knew but I had forgotten again reappear, and I could listen to them. There were many others whom I never knew, and it was a total discovery. And along with that, then there were a lot of composers and songwriters, that those names will come, and then I would search, who is this? Who is Tanveer Naqvi? So now there is a fantastic song in Anmol Ghadi film with Anmol Ghadi had Surendranath and Noor Jahan as stars, and there was this song called Udan Khatolo Pe Ud Jaun Main Tere Haath Na Aun. Now that song was written, and that song was it's one of the finest song even today, I would say, as a song, but also as the way it was shot, or it was filmed in the film. It's just unbelievable. You can still kind of Google it or go to YouTube and see that Zohra Bai Ambale Wali and Shamshad Begum has sang that song, and 2 young kids are singing that song. And Tanveer Naqvi, who is here, this second portrait with a kind of a muffler on the head. And then I realized that Tanveer Naqvi, Ghulam Haidar is someone who Lata Mangeshkar said was my real godfather, and who taught her that how to kind of, sing in front of the microphone and etc. So this Nisar Bazmi and Behzad Lakhnavi, Khurshid Anwar, Arzu Sahib, all these people, I mean, they were here working, and after the partition, they left for Pakistan. But so there are almost 38, 39 names which are Muslim in this show, and how secular that time was, and how open. And still, I think Hindi cinema is, it binds, I know that, it's not, there's always this love-hate relationship with Hindi popular cinema. I just hate it and I love it simultaneously. Now, where I love and where I hate, that's a very, very difficult sort of area to say, but one enjoys. And then the people like S.D. Burman from Tripura, Salil Chaudhary, Bengal, but after partition, the Bangladesh, East Bengal, and then there is a Naushad, and then there is a O.P. Nair. Now, because O.P. Nair was from Punjab and Naushad was from Lucknow, so there is a absolutely difference, the kind of folk element which came in both.
And a lot of Maharashtrians.
Yeah, of course, a lot of Maharashtrian. Of course, C. Ramchandra and many, and the great Lata Mangeshkar was there. And so I think very diverse, people who were engaged and involved in producing this small. So it's like a, small miniature paintings, which I admire so much, Indian miniatures, Rajput or Mughal. And there are thousands of those kind of paintings are available actually. And you see it and, it goes. So same with these songs, so many songs has been produced during this period. And sometimes one doesn't know the film, one doesn't know the actors or who were acting in the film, but at the same time it was the song we would remember. And you by heart almost after listening 2-3 times, you remember the whole song. And after listening for such a long time these songs, you are not bored. So what is that exactly, kind of a pull or a beauty in this, which I often thought about.
So you decided to do something.
So then I thought that,
is this a kind of...
then during that time, I did one of the portraits, which reminded me, because I was looking, I said Rajendra Kishan, who the name is not, it's not like Majru, it's not Sahir, it's not Tanvir Nakvi or whoever. It's a Hindu name. But the ghazals in Adalat and other films, and also how he wrote the in Urdu language. So for that I wanted to know about him. So I Googled and I got some pictures and I saw the young photograph of Rajendra Kishan, which is just behind this wall, that portrait, and which I said I'm going to paint this man. Beautiful, the nose and the cheekbone and the face was so good looking for as an artist, for me to do a portrait. So I said, I'm going to do it. And I must tell you that we are talking about essentially about music of certain era, but actually the art of portraiture, the painting, which was one of my favorite subjects at the JJ School of Art, because it's portrait was very, very essential kind of a theme, subject when we were studying. Now, what we studied great masters like Rembrandt, Cézanne, Monet, Manet, Renoir, the great French impressionists and all. But my biggest regret is that not a single Indian student has seen the original of these masters. Whether Dürer or whether it's the Dutch masters or a Flemish master, we would just imagine, because there were books in the library, and then there were some old sepia tone kind of transparencies. In those days it used to come 35 mm, and it would be projected, and that's how we had seen. But to experience the painting, oil painting, you need to see the original. It's the way color is loaded, the way paint has been applied, the transparency, the dry brushing, many aspects of the portraiture, which I used to enjoy it. And I thought that I'm going to paint Rajendra Kishan for myself. So when I did that, then there were other names came, and I said, what if I do? So I did some 15, 20 portraits, and
at a go.
At one go, yeah. Like I would take 2 days to finish. Sometimes I finished in a day, like Madan Mohan or Naushad, I finished in a day, one portrait. So I did it, and they were there. I said, now these are for myself. It's not for anyone. It's just because, who is interested in Sudha Malhotra, say, or even Suman Kalyanpur. And there was no plan to paint Sudha Malhotra, but the big names which I thought I would, and the Rafi, the great playback singer, whom I have been admiring in a big way. I would say he's my real guru.
You have dedicated the show
I have dedicated the show to him because, you see, he is the one singer who was so diverse. Whether it's I mean, it's all been written, all been said so many times that whether it's sad song, whether it's it's a ghazal, bhajan, qawwali, romantic song, birthday song, um, death song, you just name it.
And Yahoo.
And Yahoo, of course. All this kind of a thing, this one man could do it, and that too, whenever he sang, he would kind of do it in such a way that you can understand that it is a Mohammed Rafi song, but it is sung by Dharmendra, it is sung by Dilip Kumar, it is for Devanand who is singing. Even if you have not watched the movie, you can say, yes, shayad, this is this is definitely Shammi Kapoor. So how he could do that? So I said, if this man could do in such a diverse way, the singing with one voice, one should attempt diverse and different things in the work. And but one small. So my first ever Hindi film which I saw when I was 5, my mother took me. It was a film called Aarti with Meena Kumari and Pradeep Kumar, and the great Roshan. Roshan had given the music, and the songs were beautiful with Lata Mangeshkar and Mohammed Rafi in the film. So, but before that, I was born in 59, and 59, Mughal-e-Azam was released. And by the time it came to public, and the songs were all over on radio, and radios people used to listen. And I think I must be 1 year, 1.5 years, whatever, in 1960 when these songs were all. So there was one particular song called Zindabad, Zindabad, Mohabbat Zindabad, sung by Mohammed Rafi. Only one that song which he sang in that film. And as a child, the very first few words which I learned to speak, like Baba, Mama, Papa, kind of child speaks. So one of the words, the actual word which I spoke was Jindabad. So I would crawl and I would say Jindabad, 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 kind of a thing. And my uncle, again, my mama, he would, because I was a chubby child, so, he would hold my double chin. And he would say, this is my Rafi, he is my Rafi. And I would say, Jindabad, Jindabad. So that is something. It's,
so clearly it is embedded in you. It's embedded in you that in 15 days you finish 15 portraits.
Yeah, so then I did it, and then when there was about 20, 25, 30, I don't remember, were there, and so Shireen came and to see my work for my Paris show, and before it was leaving. And then they said, what else you are doing? I said, I'm doing something, but leave it. He said, no, show me. So I showed her, and she said, oh, this is something we should show. I said, but who? I mean, like younger generation who comes today now, so many people come, they may not be even knowing who is Salil Chaudhary or who is Subir Sen. Maybe they know Kishore Kumar, of course, but Kaifi Azmi and Prem Dhawan, all these things. He said, no, don't stop, don't do this. Allow yourself and just do it. I said, okay. So I got a kick, again further. I said, I'm going to do it. And every time, try to do differently, try to, change the scheme and a majority of paintings are in, photographs are available in black and white. And there is no color. So there is a use of white, which you see a lot here in this show.
I saw there.
Exactly. And, the two artists in this country, whom I would say were the people who, those two painters have used the color white like no one else has done it. No one. And if you ask me who are these two artists, one is Amrita Shergill and second is Tayyab Mehta. These are the two painters who use the color white. So when I take white comes on my palette, and I get nervous and I think of these two giants, and I said, chalo koshish to karte hain, let me see. So I would do it, but because essentially the there was a possibility of using white because essentially the images which I had available, which were in black and white. But then I would try to do differently, different approach, change techniques every time, and but not necessarily that, well, Salil Chaudhary has a lot of Western influence, so there should be something of that kind. No, nothing like that. So I just kind of select the image which is not usually common or known by people are familiar, slightly different, and then do it.
So, I just wanted to interject here with a point going back to something you said, but we'll move on after that. Is Mohammad Rafi you said, and you talked about the secular nature of this.
Yeah.
So there is one example of a bhajan in a film called Baiju Babra.
Yeah.
It's not a bhajan really, but it's kind of, you can call it that. Mana Tadpat Hari Darshan.
Yes.
Everyone, including the singer, lyricist, and
Right.
the music director, are Muslims.
Yes.
So think about it.
Yeah.
So that was there, to a point perhaps is there. A lot of strange influences have got into Hindi cinema nowadays. I won't go far with that. Now, leaving that aside, I like that point that you made. That's why I thought I'd develop it. Atul, in your show in Maximilian Bhavan, what was the name?
That was called Scenes from Marriage, Regardless.
Then your last show here, Dr. Bhaskar goes
Dr. Banerjee in Dr. Kulkarni's nursing home.
Yeah, visits
Yeah.
Dr. Kulkarni's nursing home, which is which is Anand, really.
Yeah, yeah.
There's, in that first show, you had Charulata.
Yes.
In one of this last one was, of course, purely Hindi cinema and
Yeah.
stills from Hindi cinema, really, interpreted in a most beautiful way. And now this. Is nostalgia creeping up on you or what?
I just try to find way to paint, and it's just nostalgia. The word I'm not so happy with, but but I think past is never a past. That it's gone, and now there is no point of talking about the past, because past comes in our present all the time, and of course philosophically, if you say right now what we just said, and next moment, so what I said a moment ago it goes into past. So that I'm not interested in that kind of aspect, but I think. You see, as far as this body of work is concerned, I mean, they were fantastic. They were great artists. And my work, someone told me that, when you do homage, I have a lot of homage. Even in my studio, if you come, there are pictures of, masters and artists. Maybe it's when, we were told and taught from a childhood onwards that, respect and honor, or great feeling that I can't just say that, oh, Akbar Padamsi, theek hai, he was there, and he was a good friend, and he was a great artist and all, and that's it. I'm nothing. No. I mean, he still, is there in my consciousness, my method of working, all that. So I'm just giving an example. So that's something which is there. But, the thing is that, again, if I go slightly back to the path, so these people, their, the quality of music which they produced, maybe it's like at home, what happens in your childhood is something very significant, I feel. Whether it's pain, agony, or joy, whatever. And I remember, like I studied in a Gujarati medium school called Gurukul Vidyalaya in Ghatkopar, and we had one teacher. This teacher's name was Pisori sir, and he was very good with his Gujarati handwriting. And every day morning he would write on a blackboard, which as you enter, of course the school was very Gandhian, so as you enter there was a Gandhiji statue was there, and he would write news that what happened in the country from a newspaper, and in his beautiful Gujarati handwriting he would write. And occasionally he would also write Sanskrit Subhasit in Sanskrit and then into Gujarati. Translation of those Subhasit from couplets from Ved or whatever. Rig Veda or something. Now, suddenly, we were 10 years old or 12, I don't remember, 6th standard. And there was a bus, it was all boys school. And there was a bus that saying, someone said, the Pisori sir, he is Muslim. So, and then there was, everyone was talking, Pisori sir is Muslim. Meaning what? When you say so and so is Muslim, meaning exactly what? What you are trying to say? Of course, we were kids, so we said, oh really? Really? Oh, he's Muslim. But the Pisori name is not, it's not Khan, Syed or any other Qureshi or anything. But so that was there. But and when I come home, cinema was very much there. And my father and my mother and my uncle who used to live with us, and they were all the time, they would talk about Talat Mahmud, Mohammad Rafi, Shakil Badayoni, Majroo Sultanpuri, Sahir Ludhianvi, and Naushad Ali, Sajjad Hussain. And I would say, these are Muslim names, and they were like my family, they were all the time, these names were uttered. So what? So of course, I never discussed with anyone. Even we boys forgot because it was young kids. They have no clue. But it was probably the elders who must have sort of put this thing that this man, outsider. Anyway. So that is how started. And then when I started doing this, then I realized, oh yeah, that's true. That there are almost 39 names which are Muslim name here, but more than anything else, they were such a amazing and in such a short, because the classical giants like A.R. Qureshi, which is Allah Rakha, the tabla master, Zakir's father, yeah, and Ravi Shankar and Ali Akbar, the Sarod maestro, and so and they've also given music for Hindi films. And Ravi Shankar says that, it's not, so one of the dilemma or this thing I had was, that what I like is something a lower degree art. This Hindi film music, it's not a great scholarly or great music. It's a popular for a mass. And but that era and that time, now of course after 70s, gradually, how it declined, and now we don't even have much music or songs in our Hindi cinema, and I don't even care, I don't even see or I don't even listen to this contemporary music, but this era, the quality and the compositions and the songwriting, everything was amazing. So I think it took my hold. So what, sometime, in the night we would listen to radio, and then started coming very tiny pocket transistors, small, which people would, even in a train commentary, people would listen to, and those small thing. So this small thing, which...
Very inexpensive.
Yeah, very inexpensive. So that I used to listen in the night, and then some song would come, which was a special, or which I would keep one pencil and write it on the wall. You know, even if because it's dark and we are listening to that song, and but I would just write so I don't forget. Next day, then I would write it in my notebook or somewhere else. So there was an area in the wall, near my bed, which was full of this scribbling of text of.
Maybe that
song.
was how it all started here.
I
because we
think, yeah,
developed
exactly.
into
So,
that.
so what happened when I was doing my 365 watercolors every day, one watercolor during the pandemic, and and I would listen to these songs again, and then I feel, oh, this is special. So I would just write it down in my notebook, and so there was 10, 12 pages full of one line with music. Essentially, who sang and it's from which film. So then I can go back on YouTube and check it out again, that song. That's how I did. But then there are here many are missing. There are 19 other portraits
I
which
was
are.
going to come
Okay.
to that in a minute. I was going to come to that, and I'm sure half the audience is also going to ask you there. There are names which are missing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to list the people I thought were missing. But of course, Amin Sahani is not here.
Well, Amin Sahni's portrait is there in my studio, which I have done, which I had brought it here, and there were 19 works which were on a paper, or watercolor, and which. Already when I was doing the display, I realized that there is no space, and it will be rather already it's crowded show, and it will be too much, and the framing and the glass made the slightly the technically different. So Amin Sahni and Lakshmi Pyare, Kalyan Jananji, Avinash Vyas, Ninu Mazumdar, and Kaif Irfani, Kaif Bhopali, K. Datta, and Wali Sahib. All these portraits are there, but they are not here on the display. But one thing I was very clear that when this thing was happening, the major role was also in this composition was by the music arranger at that time.
So I think there is Sebastian somewhere.
There are, there is this Kavas Lord, his son Barjor, and the other Kersi. So, and they worked for all the musicians, Kersi's amazing interviews are there in his Parsi Hindi and Parsi English. Amazing, he talks fantastic, and he has this great memory. He passed away recently, but so Kersi talks about how he has worked, except for Shyam Sundar and one Khemchand Prakash or someone with whom he has not worked. Otherwise, he has worked with everyone. So when the tune is hummed or given to because there is an orchestra, there is someone who is playing violin, someone is playing piano, someone is playing tabla, all. When and who should be playing on what pitch? Who controls that? Composer would have a overall control or dhun, as we say. But so these were the people, And then, of course, there was Sebastian D'Souza and Anthony Gonçalves. And Lakshmikant Pyarelal learned violin from Anthony Gonçalves. So he gave a tribute to a film called, to Anthony Gonçalves in a film called Amar Akbar Anthony, that my name is Anthony Gonçalves. That song everybody knows, So, so I thought I must have them. And then there was a Chick Chocolate. And they were all three from Goa. Gonçalves and the other guy and Chick Chocolate. So they were Goan, and he lot of things which you see in C. Ramchandra's catchy, Albela and other songs. It's a huge contribution by Chick Chocolate. So it's interesting to read about, to know these people. And they were, and one day we will be also gone, we also become part of the past. And then I feel, so how people were thinking, what they were doing, and what, and very few who really got name, fame, money, or become known. But so many are, they are not recognized or
But,
in a,
but I must say, and I think I speak for a few, many here, that many of these names have been long forgotten,
yeah,
and you have brought them alive.
right,
So for me at least, this is a absolute landmark show, which whether it is recognized as such, whether people come and say, "Oh, so what, we see their photographs in every magazine,"
yeah,
or who's this person, my grandfather must have known him. That's interesting but immaterial. I think as an artist, as a fan, you've done your this.
yeah.
Now I